Yeah. Okay. Help America's team help the men and women of the United States Armed Forces fight post-traumatic stress disorder. We got to do this. The campaign's slow right now. Go to just send me an email, frusso14@aol.com. Check it out. And let's see if we're going to make this happen. I ain't stopping. We got to help America's team help the men and women of the United States Armed Forces fight post-traumatic stress disorder. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We got to do this. Now I got the model over here at 77 WABC. I want to start with this before I get into all the other stuff. I just want everybody to understand what's really going on. The foundation of this whole thing. Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you the foundation of this thing. Fraudulent Selective Service Card, Fraudulent Selective Service Registration Card, Sheriff Joel and the Cold Case Posse, statistically significant, Obama. Those two, let's look at it from a little different, a more explicit way. The Fraudulent Selective Service Registration Card, statistically significant, that's one coordinate. Obama, that's another coordinate. Maps to the Clinton Foundation through the State Department. So the Fraudulent Selective Service Registration Card, one coordinate. Obama is another coordinate. That maps to the Obama-Clinton State Department, United States Constitution, which maps to, through the Memorandum of Understanding signed by Valerie Jarrett and Bill Clinton, the Clinton Foundation. And then what we also have attached in this model, is the illegal, unapproved State Department server in the basement of Hillary Clinton's house. And according to what made it statistically significant is the Inspector General's report. It's unapproved, illegal, and if she would have approached the Inspector General's office, she never would have gotten approval to have this State Department server in the basement of her house. Now, the Clinton Foundation took $105,000 from an Iranian surrogate, a Levy Foundation. Okay, now the Levy Foundation, the Iranian Levy Foundation, was a member of the terror triad, the Iranian terror triad that owned 650 Fifth Avenue building over here in New York City, 53rd Street and Lexington Avenue, and it was a Levy Foundation, Asset Corporation, and Bank Melli of Iran, which was deemed a proliferator of the weapons of mass destruction by the U.S. Treasury Department. The Iran's Levy Foundation gave $105,000 to the Clinton Foundation. So everybody goes, so what, who cares, Frankie Russo? It's $105,000, right? But how doesn't the Clinton Foundation not know that the Levy Foundation is a terrorist entity? Of course they know. They refuse to return the money, right? And it's coming out now that the Clinton Foundation has, on all intents and purposes, the Clinton Foundation is conceivably, by many reports right now on the internet, that there's a charitable fraud. Only 10% of the entire, some information is leaking out, only 10% of all, it hasn't been confirmed, but what's rumored is that 10% of all the money raised at the foundation only has gone to charity. That's it. It's crazy stuff, right? So this Clinton Foundation maps to the Levy Foundation because it gave $105,000 to the Clinton Foundation. So there's the map there now, right? Now what's really crazy is what makes this thing even worse, the fact that not only that the Clinton Foundation is a charitable fraud, but that the Alevi Foundation, through Rachel Effenfeld, American Center for Democracy, the Hanskew case, Appendix A, and the American Spectator that claims it saw the actual 501c3 documents, the public documents of Iran's Alevi Foundation, and it saw over $104 million sent to the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. So the Alevi Foundation maps to the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. Now, I don't have a check. So this is statistically significant, okay? I don't have a check, front and back check cash by the Al Farouk Mosque to a weapons dealer purchasing 1,000 pipe bombs. But based on all the activities that came out of the Blind Sheikh's Mosque, from the 1993 World Trade Center bombing to all of the terror financiers, all the money coming from the Blind Sheikh's Mosque and its affiliates, Jersey City Mosque with Muhammad al-Anudi, going all the way out to Yemen with Muhammad al-Mawad, in Brooklyn with the Abad al-Fuji, the Brooklyn ice cream parlor, $21 million in a bank account, funding terror, to the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center, to the, from Romney Youssef, maternal uncle Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and you get the September 11th unfortunate hit 2001 on the World Trade Center. So all this planning and activity, all this, the father of radical Islamic terror in the United States, the Blind Sheikh's Mosque, and his affiliates and his surrogates are all there. So I don't need to have, so this is the map right now, right? That's the way this map goes, right here. The Blind Sheikh to Alevi Foundation maps, it maps to the Clinton Foundation, that maps to the Clinton State Department, the server, the illegal unapproved server, the Clinton Foundation, which is conceivably a charitable fraud. It hasn't actually been on television yet. I've seen a lot of it on the internet. It's some high-level reputable people that actually studied the structure and the entity of the Clinton Foundation. So what we have here now, I believe, is a statistically significant model. And then when you apply the 5 released Code Force leaders in Erbil, Iraq in 2009, mysteriously by the Obama administration, then you got the Bergdahl trade, which involves Qatar and for example, all intents and purposes, according to a few U.S. congressmen, that Qatar is a haven for terror financiers, and one namely was al-Numani. Al-Numani funded ISIS, Al-Qaeda in Iraq, millions of dollars weekly, and for an indefinite period of time, according to the U.S. Treasury Department. And then you got Yassin al-Suri, got hundreds of thousands of dollars from him. Yassin al-Suri was the guy, because of the drone strikes. I haven't really gotten the full detail about the drone strikes, but Mushin al-Fadali was whacked by a drone strike, killed, and Mushin al-Fadali was he goes all the way back to the September 11th. He was an Al-Qaeda Iran facilitator. He actually lived in Iran, and he was killed. And when he got killed, the vacuum filled for Yassin al-Suri, and he got money from al-Numani. The al-Numani is the Qatari national that's deemed by the United States Treasury Department as a terror financier. Then you got the Palestinian Authority and Hamas, and we talked about the money that they send, and Iran is sending tens of millions of dollars to Hamas with bombs to drop on Israel, 5,000 to 10,000 since 2005, 2006. And then, so we're sending money there, Iran is there. We're sending money to Egypt's Morsi with Muslim Brotherhood. That's an unbelievable thing, $1.5 billion and 20 jet fighters. So let's say hypothetically that not all that the numbers are overestimated. Let's say they didn't get all this. I don't know. They got on the low end. Even if we lower the numbers and say, let's hypothetically, they're still getting paid. Iran is still getting paid. We're paying radical Islamists. We're giving money that they wrote. They've sent a letter, and 88 United States senators sent a letter to Obama. Said, why are we sending money to Palestinian Authority? Why? Why are we sending money to Palestinian Authority and Hamas? We don't know whether they're going to use the money for humanitarian aid or they're going to use the money for terrorism. And then with Assad, same thing. We sent all the money out there. We supposedly put together a few fighters, and what happened? They end up giving the weapons back to ISIS. And then we get the Benghazi cover-up, which was really, it wasn't the video, it wasn't the whacking of Abu Yahya al-Libi, the Libyan Islamic fighting group military commander, who was an Al-Qaeda affiliate, and had this video with this Ayman al-Sawari. He was the leader at the time of Al-Qaeda, to try to link it in through a few Reuters articles. Nothing to do with that. It was the Iranian Quds Force, General Soleimani, Kenneth Timmerman. And you know, this is the thing about this model is it blows away the Sunni Shia divide. It shows ISIS Iran, Al-Qaeda Iran, Hezbollah Iran, Hamas Iran, Afghan Taliban Iran. It shows the entire connection between the Shia and the Sunni in this Iranian global terror network, which is connected to the Clinton Foundation. This is why, this is one of the reasons why I believe Donald Trump is right, that ISIS is that the Obama Clinton administration is a criminal enterprise. I believe it's statistically significant. We are materially supporting money, weapons, training, human assets back in the field to the radical Islamists. And if, which I believe is statistically significant, if the Obama Clinton crime family, if the Obama Clinton administration is a criminal crime, is a criminal enterprise, which if the Obama Clinton administration is a criminal enterprise, then the Obama Clinton crime family are fronting for radical Islamists. And as Donald Trump says, the Obama Clinton administration are ISIS. They're radical Islamists. They're founders of ISIS. They are ISIS, I believe. Statistically significant. Statistically significant. But anyway, let's look at some articles now. I just want to put a little meat on that. Gateway social media patterns show Trump is looking at a landslide victory. Now, I don't know the statistical significance yet. I'm still looking at some articles, the analysis of the media, of the social media as it pertains to voting patterns, voting records, or whatever. Obama got 10 plus million likes, Clinton's got 5 million likes. Trump live stream post, 135,000, Clinton's got 11,000. Trump's got 18,000 shares. Trump's got 1.5 million views. Clinton's only got 321,000. YouTube live stream. Trump averages 30,000 live, Clinton averages 500 live. Trump has 197 subscribers in the Reddit. Hillary Clinton's only got 24,000. Hillary for Prison's got 55,000. Let's look at the rest. Might as well. While I'm waiting for this article to come in, the social pattern, I mean, okay, so I'm not saying that this is, I'm not saying this is statistically significant, because, you know, the Twitter is 10.6 followers, Hillary's got 8. Trump has 30% more Twitter followers. Trump's got, they translated to real votes. According to a recent study, confirmed that 70% of his followers are real supporters, and 90% of those real followers have a voting history. YouTube live stream 30,000 live for Trump. Well, we said this already. Instagram 2.2 million for Trump. Trump's got 22% more Instagram followers. Now, if this translates to actually voting for Trump, actually some sort of trend, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but I think it's definitely something to add to the conversation right now. I'm not saying it's statistically significant, but it definitely adds to the conversation. Trump has a big hidden Trump. There's a big hidden Trump vote, according to a pollster. They're not exactly the Nixon-era silent majority, but both Republican and Democratic pollsters claim there is a secret vote for Trump showing up in some polls. Trump campaign on Sunday stated flatly, this thing, my computer's flatly, let's see if I can get this right. Okay. Longtime Republican pollster and Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway said that this is the Washington Examiner. The hidden vote is seen when anonymous online polls are compared to phone call interview polls where people have to be more public in stating who they support. For example, the new Reuters poll had Trump and Hillary Clinton just 3 points apart, while others that are phone survey based show an even greater gap. The Reuters poll, which is an online poll where Trump is 3 points behind, and I think that the important point to note there is that when you have an online poll as opposed to telephone polls, Trump tends to do better. That's because online polls approximate the ballot box where you're issuing your vote privately. Okay, I mean, that's a way of looking at it. It's not statistically significant because online polls, it's like I have to be, we think that a hidden Trump vote in this country. I believe that's true. I don't have the scientific proof. Maybe this is. I don't know, because if you look at Truman versus Dewey, they did their telephone surveys at the time, right? And not everybody had a telephone, and that poll was out the window, right? Not everybody has internet, so that's why these polls, the random samples, it's very interesting. But that's the problem. That's what the problem with internet polls. Whether they're scientific or not, I don't know, because not everybody has internet access. So today everybody has phones, so it's statistically significant. Back in the 30s and 40s, I think the 40s, Truman versus Dewey, there was no the random sample was not everybody had a phone. And they had a problem with their poll. Clinton campaign not disavowing support from Orlando terrorist father. People are picked to sit behind the candidates. Very interesting. Another Fugazi situation. This I find troubling. Israeli athletes in Rio endure shocking hostility, taunting by Muslim nations. That's a disgrace. Here's an interesting one. ISIS and affiliates have killed 30,000 people since 2002. Terror group averaged 106 attacks monthly in 2014 when Obama regarded militants as a JV team, and at one point in time, either around that time or a little before that, Obama claimed that they didn't have a military strategy. Really? I think I found some articles that could shed some light on that, some well-sourced articles. The terror group ISIS, along with its predecessors and affiliates, carried out over 4,900 attacks between 2002 and 2015, killing more than 30,000 people in assaults that stretched from the Middle East to Western nations. ISIS attacks comprise 13% of all terror attacks globally during a 13-year period, according to research released from the National Consortium for the Study of Terrorism and Response to Terrorism at the University of Maryland. In addition to killing tens of thousands of people worldwide, assaults by ISIS, also known as the Islamic State, have caused 41,000 injuries and involved 11,000 hostage takings or kidnappings. ISIS and its affiliates caused 1/4 of the deaths from terror attacks during the period. This is Washington Free Beacon, Morgan Chalfant. While ISIS didn't assume its current name to 13, according to, this is the press, mainstream media's take on this. Researchers evaluate the patterns of ISIS-related attacks beginning in 2002 by looking at assaults perpetrated by its predecessors. The study, which was funded by the Department of Homeland Security, also examined attacks carried out by ISIS militants in its so-called caliphate in Iraq and Syria, attacks by affiliated organizations such as Khorasan province in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and ISIS-inspired attacks. I'm reading this article more because it's interesting. President Obama has sought to highlight the progress of the U.S. military campaign against ISIS in the Middle East as Iraqi forces have seized key territories from the terror group in recent months. These forces, backed by U.S. airstrikes and ground support, are gearing up to retake Mosul, the terrorist de facto capital in Iraq, and White House is now looking to cooperate with Russia to combat ISIS in Syria, where the civil war between Assad and have complicated against the terror group. So this is, we have no strategy. I mean, this is like, And it's crazy because before Obama took over, Petraeus was surgeon over there. Petraeus was surgeon. Now I got this ISIS, Iran's instrument for regional hegemony, Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs. So this is, this is an Israeli security, regional diplomacy, international law. Interesting article, interesting take. And I have other articles that support it. I'm going to read it in a few seconds. I just want to get, okay, so this is interesting now, because now we get to the operatives. Former head of Al-Qaeda network in Iran now operates in Syria. This is Mushan al-Fadali, who has reportedly relocated from Iran to Syria. Mushan al-Fadali, a senior Al-Qaeda leader who once headed the organization's network in Iran. He got whacked by a drone. Relocated in Syria in 2013, a report in the Arab. Al-Fadali joined the Al-Nurusha Front, Al-Qaeda's official branch in Syria. He was apparently sent to the country after a dispute between Al-Nurusha and ISIS. But Al-Fadali was one of the trusted operatives who reported back to Ayman al-Zawahiri. Ayman al-Zawahiri is the head of Al-Qaeda, right? Now, today Al-Fadali, well, he's not, he got whacked. But this is this is a little older article. I just want to, okay. According to Arab Times, this is the, I'm sorry, this is Tom Jocelyn, by the way. Long War Journal. This guy's great reporter. Great stuff. I love his take on things. And he has really good information. So here's what I'm talking about now. See this now? Okay, we got the Arab Times. The Arab Times account, according to Thomas Jocelyn, doesn't identify its sources, and parts of it do not ring true. For example, Al-Fadali's 4 main targets inside Syria are supposedly Assad's forces, the Free Syrian Army, the Islamic Front, and ISIS. However, only 2 of his targets make sense in current operational environment. All right, I don't want to get too much data to confuse things, but the U.S. intelligence officials contacted by the Long War Journal confirmed that Al-Fadali has relocated to Syria, but he got whacked by a drone. Al-Fadali became the leader of Al-Qaeda network inside Iran after a senior Al-Qaeda official leader known as Yassin al-Suri was detained. Now, al-Suri is identified U.S. Treasury as a terrorist entity, the head of this network, which is said to operate under agreement between the Iranian regime and Al-Qaeda. Several months later, 2011, the State Department announced a reward of $10 million for al-Suri. They caught, this article is before he got whacked. This put pressure on Iranians to shelve al-Suri for a time. In 2012, press reporting indicated that al-Suri had replaced al-Suri as Al-Qaeda's chief inside Iran. So, but he got whacked, so al-Suri's took it over. The vacuum, because drone strikes don't work. Yes, according to all of the former CIA directors, yes, the Al-Qaeda core has been whacked since 2001 by the drone strikes. Thousands of drone strikes by the bomber, but that's a ruse, because on an overall basis between ISIS, the Sunni militia, that's one Sunni militia, that's a conglomerate of a few Sunni militias, and Al-Qaeda, which is a long-standing Sunni militia, which at all intents and purposes is actually the militant branch of Muslim Brotherhood, as Hamas is the Palestinian branch of Muslim Brotherhood. It's Sunni had assumed his leadership. This al-Sunni has assumed leadership of Al-Qaeda's Iran-based network after being temporarily detained in 2011. So I just wanted to, because there's a connection here, I just wanted to show, connected to a high-level profile of Western interests. Right, here, I just wanted to show the depth of this. Mushan al-Fadali, here's what I was looking for. Okay, and I'm going to kick to the next article. Connected to high-profile terrorist plots against Western interests, right? Al-Fadali's presence inside, this is Thomas Jocelyn, Long War Journal. Al-Fadali's presence inside Syria, where he's training recruits, he trained recruits to attack the West, is a significant cause for concern among counterterrorism authorities. Al-Fadali's first designated as a terrorist in 2005 by the U.S. Treasury. Al-Fadali has been a long elite member of Al-Qaeda, and early September 2001, Treasury Department explained he possibly received forewarning that U.S. interests would be struck. The September 11 operation was compartmentalized and only select members of the network received advance notice. And they're claiming that Al-Fadali is involved in this. So, and this guy goes back to Abu Musab al-Sakwari. Al-Sakwari is deemed by the mainstream press anyway as the first leader of Al-Qaeda in Iraq, ISIS. He got killed in 2006, 2007. Petraeus was doing his thing until we got these other radical Islamists. Amazing. But anyway, it's a great article. And here's the senior Al-Qaeda facilitator, Yassin al-Suri, who's back on the street. He was detained, but that was according to Jocelyn, the Long War Journal, that was Al-Qaeda's Iran-based network as a core pipeline. And this is like, listen to this. Long War Journal. The U.S. Treasury Department designated six Al-Qaeda members who work for terrorists headquartered in Iran. The Treasury Department explained that the 6 operatives are members of an Al-Qaeda network headed by Abdel Aziz Khalil, a prominent Iran-based Al-Qaeda facilitator operating under an agreement between Al-Qaeda and the Iranian government. This is what the model over here at 77 WABC. We well-sourced court papers, judges' decisions, peer-reviewed journal articles like the Kelly Moore article, open source, well-sourced open source articles like Long War Journal, Thomas Jocelyn, shows unequivocally with statistical significance, I believe we're close, showing this Iranian global terror network. It obliterates the Sunni-Shia divide. Unbelievable. U.S. Muslim plotted with the Islamic State to smuggle fighters through Mexico. You know, I got no problem with Mexico. Just come here illegally, you know, and between the Mexican drug cartel, we got problems. I got no problem. Love Mexico, but we got to do this right. Saudi Arabia's got a 600-foot wall along the Iraqi border to keep out radical Islamists. Tunisia has got a wall they're building to keep out the Libyan radical Islamists. Kenya has got a wall to keep out the Somalia radical Islamists. This is crazy. Court documents reveal that a Minnesota Muslim who allegedly was plotting to join ISIS discussed routing potential terrorists through Mexico to carry out attacks on the soil, U.S. soil. Gulz al-Omar reportedly told members of ISIS that a route through Mexico into the United States could be used to smuggle in potential terrorists, according to documents. This is Breitbart News, by the way. Here's a great article. Prosecutors, look at this. This is like, wow. This is a great article. Interesting. 3 Mexican cartel tunnels discovered under the U.S. soil this week. This is why we need the wall. This is why we need the wall. The Judicial Watch is claiming ISIS camp is few miles away from Mexican authorities. ISIS camp a few miles from Texas. Mexican authorities confirm ISIS is operating a camp a few miles from El Paso, Texas, according to Judicial Watch. Great group, judicialwatch.org. Got to donate. Include a Mexican Army field grade officer and a Mexican federal police inspector. The exact location where the terrorist group, this is a few months ago, but has established its base around 8 miles from the U.S. border in an area known as Anapara, situated just west of my Spanish. I'm good because I took Spanish in school. Wait, Ciudad Juarez, in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. Another ISIS cell to the west of Ciudad Juarez in Puerto Palomas, targets the New Mexico towns of Columbus, Demi for easy access to the United States. So they're there. Pat Cadell, pro-media bias is a terrifying crisis in democracy. Clinton Foundation is literally a RICO waiting to happen. Pat Cadell, not a Trump guy, that's for sure. Pro-Clinton media bias is a terrifying crisis in democracy. Clinton Foundation is literally a RICO waiting to happen. And then Iran's terror proxy Hezbollah registers political party in Peru. So now they're trying to, Shiite Iran's terror proxy has registered as an official political party in Peru. Now they're in our hemisphere, right? South America. Home to the largest Muslim community in the country, reveals an exclusive report. Now they have them. So now they're looking to change the face of these radical Islamists. They have them speaking Spanish, right? It's crazy. Truth be told, man, we have to. I mean, this is like how Taliban. I'm going to bring this article in again because this is where Claire Lopez claims that we materially supported Libya, and she went through the whole thing. I've gone through that numerous times, from the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group to the U.S. zero footprint operation with Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Qatar, to Mustafa Jalal and the Transnational Council with Abdel Hakim Belhaj, and you got Ben Kumud, and you got Abu Katala, and they whacked the general because the weapons that the UAE, according to Claire Lopez, the UAE funded, they sold them back to Gaddafi. This was like, they're not sure whether this was a real coup d'etat, a fake coup d'etat, I don't know. But the truth be told, the general was whacked. Abu Katala whacked him. And as I said, I've been saying, according to Claire Lopez, Muslim Brotherhood gave the command order to execute General Yunus. I got that in the WikiLeaks emails and in Egyptian newspaper. Now, Kenneth Timmerman, and we're almost done here. Kenneth Timmerman, he's a Dark Forces Truth About Benghazi. The Obama administration isn't only giving the Taliban back to its commanders, the 5 Taliban for Bergdahl, it's giving them weapons. Now, according to this, there's these air Stinger missiles that were missing out in military commanders reveal that 2012 Taliban fighters in Kunar province successfully targeted a U.S. Army helicopter. It got taken down, but fortunately, for the grace of God, our people survived, and they went to the quote unquote black box or whatever, and there was an explosive ordnance disposal team arrived to pick through the wreckage from this helicopter that got taken down. Arms were twisted, whatever, and the Stinger tracked back to a lot that was signed off by the Obama-Clinton administration. Reports of the Stinger reached the highest echelons of the U.S. command in Afghanistan, became a source of intense speculation, but no action. Everyone knew the war was winding down, revealing that the Taliban had U.S.-made Stingers risk demoralizing coalition troops because there were no coalition casualties. Government officials made no public. According to Kenneth Timmerman, his sources in the U.S. Special Operations Community believe that Stinger fired against this U.S. helicopter was part of an Obama administration operation, was part of the same, turned over to the Qataris in 2011, weapons Hillary Clinton's State Department intended for anti-Gaddafi forces in Libya. And this leads into what the precursor to Benghazi was. Weapons were coming in, right? And then when Benghazi happened, weapons were going out. And when the Iranian Quds Force found out, Ansar al-Sharia, according to Claire Lopez, was living right next door to Andrew Stevens. Now, according to Kenneth Timmerman, Ansar al-Sharia of Libya, Ansar al-Sharia of Egypt are the JV team. The real pros came in, the Quds Force, Hezbollah, General Soleimani, and they did the hit. And they had the ruse. But these air Stinger missiles are so dangerous, and they were very concerned. That they had gotten, and obviously there's proof that because the serial number traced back, so that proof that we're arming the radical Islamists. And here's why Turkey's coup d'état failed. Erdogan. This is crazy. This is an interesting article right here, and I have a smaller article that I may use in this show, the live show. Wiener's still sexting. Anthony Weiner is still sexting. Now, we got this spy, according to Iran's execution of the nuclear scientist who gave information to the United States would always draw attention, but this one popped up on Hillary Clinton's infamous emails. And she discussed with several aides and communication kept on her unprotected private server, including just days before. This is what I mean. That server was fake. She conceivably, I mean, I don't have the connection yet. I'm not going to lie. But I'm working on that. But then Secretary of State discussed this scientist with several aides, communications kept on unprotected private server, including just days before he abruptly left America to return to Tehran. That raised a fresh flood of questions about Clinton's homebrewed setup, which she insists was well protected, but the FBI believes was most likely hacked by hostile interests. And then we got weekends at Bernie's. He just purchased his third summer home. The socialist, he's trying to eclipse his favorite guy, his mentor, Fidel Castro. Foreign desk, we have boots on the ground. Yeah, right. Just days after denying U.S. boots on the ground involved in the operation. I'm not saying that's not true. Admitted that a small number of U.S. groups are going in and out of Libya in support of anti-ISIS. This is just, those forces are helping in the targeting of anti-ISIS forces by lasting the targets for our missiles. They're surely close enough to front to see the target. They're not in the front line, as Pentagon does. Is simply a question of semantics. This is just, their way. Okay, so I'm getting out of here. This is the Frankie Russo pre-show. Yeah. I'm getting out of here, getting ready for the live show. I'll see you all, and I hope I didn't talk too loud. I hope I didn't screw up the audio, because I got this new audio thing. But anyway, Frankie Russo Show, yeah. I'll see you all in about 30, 40 minutes. I'll see you all. Remember, you got to help America's team, help the men and women of the United States Armed Forces fight post-traumatic stress disorder. Send me an email if you got some ideas how to raise some money. It's slow right now, but we're going to make it happen. Yeah. See you in about half hour or so. Frankie Russo, yeah.